At midnight, my phone reminded me to lock the door before it gets in. I don't remember writing that note, and the front door was already creaking open. Thanks, Sarah, for that 2-sentence horror story, and thanks to all the storytellers who share their stories with us every week. Please send us yours at SomethingScary@snarled.com, and you might hear it on the podcast. New Year's promises are supposed to help you find a way to make life better. Clean slates, fresh starts, a chance to finally outrun what's been chasing you. But sometimes the moment the clock resets, something else does too. Something patient, something evil that's been waiting for the year to end. And once it starts, there's no countdown left to stop it. Hi, I'm Blair Bathory, and welcome to the Something Scary podcast. I hope you all had a great holiday. Today, we've added some new spooky vibes to our video. Check it out, and thanks for joining us as we descend into the darkness together. So, want to hear something scary? A Year to Die For. The danger of space isn't the darkness, it's what stares back from inside, like in this story shared by Orion. The Orion had been drifting in orbit around the distant moon of Jupiter for weeks. Solar flares had crippled communications before they even arrived, leaving the 5 crew members stranded in the cold, silent void. Commander Hughes kept strict schedules. Lillian Vance logged every system check. Engineer Marino tinkered with damaged circuits. Specialist Cole ran diagnostics. Pilot Reese monitored life support and propulsion. At first, the routines kept them sane. The rhythm of work and meals masked the monotony of endless blackness outside the portholes. But then the whispers began. It started as nothing more than a faint murmur in the ventilation ducts, a flicker of movement in the corner of an eye. Cole insisted he heard someone calling his name while inspecting a junction panel. Reese woke screaming, claiming he saw Marino floating outside the station without a suit. Even though Marino had been asleep, the crew began to notice small anomalies, shadows moving contrary to the light, subtle changes in the ship's hum, instruments flickering with no cause. Lillian dismissed them at first, attributing the fear to stress, but unease gnawed at them all. Tension grew in the narrow corridors. Every creak of metal, every flicker of the lights felt deliberate, threatening. Hughes vanished one night, leaving only his helmet floating in the cockpit, visor cracked. The logs showed no record of an EVA. The remaining 4 were silent, exchanging looks of disbelief. They moved cautiously, avoiding the corridors unless necessary, their steps measured, every sense alert. The blackness outside pressed against them like a living thing, patient, waiting. And in the hum of the ship, the whispers persisted, growing louder, more insistent, until even the strongest among them questioned what was real and what was imagined. They didn't sleep much after Hughes vanished. Nobody said it out loud, but every person on the Orion felt it. The ship wasn't empty, but it wasn't full of just them anymore. Something else was moving around, quiet, patient. Marino was the first one to come apart. At breakfast, he sat there shivering even though the ship was warm. His hands shook so hard he couldn't keep the spoon steady. When Lillian touched his shoulder, he jerked like she'd burned him. "I'm fine," he kept saying, but he wouldn't look any of them in the eye, like he was afraid something would stare back. Later, Reese found them standing in the dark storage bay, facing the wall, not doing anything, just standing. Reese called his name 3 times before Marino finally turned around, and for a second, Reese swore Marino's neck didn't turn naturally, like his head lagged behind him, catching up a moment late. He blinked it off and pretended he didn't see it. The hallucinations got worse. Cole swore he saw footprints on a ceiling above his bunk. Lillian kept hearing knocking deep inside the ducts, too slow and steady to be random. And Reese was the one who saw Hughes again, floating outside the viewport. Some cracked helmet, some dead stare, but his body wasn't drifting like it should. It was holding position, facing the ship, watching. They sealed themselves in the control room after that. 3 people left, and only one screen working. They watched the cameras flicker in and out, and with each static burst, the hall seemed different, handprints where they shouldn't be. Shadows bending the wrong direction. Movement just out of frame like someone slipping away at the last second. And then they saw it. Marino. Or what was left of him. He floated past the external camera, suit unsealed, hair drifting like he was underwater. His limbs were too loose, too bendy, like his joints weren't lined up right anymore. And beside him, drifting in that jerky, puppet-like way, was Hughes. His smile looked carved on. Lillian slapped a hand over her mouth. Reese whispered, "That's not like them. It can't be." Cole didn't speak, just stared wide-eyed until the camera glitched again. This time, when the image returned, there were more of them, copies of the crew, dozens, their faces slack, eyes black like someone had scooped out whatever made them human, and they were all turning toward the Orion. Lillian and Cole sealed themselves into the pod, trembling, hearts hammering. The station behind them groaned, metal flexing like it was alive. For a heartbeat, the stars outside seemed calm, indifferent, but that calm was hollow, unnatural. Cole's glove was wrong. Lillian hadn't noticed it before, and now the realization hit her. The thing wearing him was no longer human. His eyes, black as empty space, reflected her own fear back at her. The pod shuddered as they detached from the Orion, engines whining like a wounded animal. The viewpoint flickered. Outside the station twisted, impossible angles bending into itself. Marino floated past, but his body cracked and shifted mid-motion, limbs snapping, stretching, sprouting jagged shadows that reached for nothing and everything. Hughes hovered beside him, frozen in a grin that split his face in ways human jaws could not. Behind them, dozens of copies, multiplied endlessly, drifted in the void. They were all the crew, all twisted, eyes dark as black holes, smiling, watching. Inside the pod, whispers echoed, soft and intimate. Thoughts that weren't their own invaded, voices of the dead and replaced murmuring Lillian's deepest fears. The pod's controls stuttered. Cole, or the thing wearing Cole, leaned closer. That impossible smile stretched wider, teeth sharpened. His voice was both familiar and alien, a rasping echo that seemed to come from everywhere at once.
"You can't leave. Not yet."
The engines faltered, lights flickered. Outside, the Orion stretched, grew, folded impossibly, as if the station had become a living portal, vomiting replicas into the void. Lillian screamed silently, her crew swallowed by the vacuum, as the thing beside her reached out. Weeks later, Earth received a gargled transmission. The mission was declared a success. Hughes died in an accident. The returning crew smiled for the cameras, perfect, human. But their eyes were black voids, reflecting nothing of Earth or life. They spoke calmly, reporting progress, oblivious or unwilling to reveal what had happened. Somewhere in the black sea of space, the Orion drifted still. The void was patient, and out beyond the stars, waiting, multiplied, hungering. The replacements learned, observed, and waited for the next ship. For a new year had begun, fresh and bright. But little did the astronauts know, it was a year designed to die in. Maybe the worst part isn't that something found them out there, but that it learned how to follow them home. If the stars hold copies of us, waiting to take our place, how would we ever know we're still ourselves? What do you think? Would you notice if the person you loved wasn't really them anymore? The new year asks for sacrifices, and sometimes it doesn't wait for your permission, like in this account written by Sarah Lukasiewicz. I didn't mean to join the boot camp. I didn't mean to pick up milk. But that's how it goes now. You step into any grocery store, any PTA meeting, any corner of the internet, and the world is chanting the same mantra: new year, new you, new body, new life. I never meant for anyone to get hurt, or for it to go as far as it did. But January turns everyone into an evangelist. It's like a cult, except everyone looks really hydrated and carries emotional support Stanley cups. Still, I wasn't sold on the boot camp, not fully. I'm 45, a mom of 2, and trying to claw my way back into the workforce after spending a decade drowning in goldfish crumbs. I didn't need a new body. I needed LinkedIn endorsements and a cardigan that didn't have banana puree on it. But the thing about a new year is, it makes you believe you're supposed to start over. Clean slate, clean body, clean life. A year to finally get it together. Or as someone on TikTok said, a year to die for. Whatever that means. Then my friend Melanie, who hasn't eaten a carb since COVID, grabbed my arm at school drop-off. "They have shots now," she whispered. "Everyone's doing them. It's not even a big deal." I didn't say. Actually, it feels like a huge deal because half my feed is people bragging about how magically losing weight while eating nachos, and the other half is people screaming that we're all going to die from these shots. What I said was, "I'll think about it." Which is mom speak for, I've already Googled the side effects. A week later, after the 3rd job rejection and the 5th well-intentioned "don't worry, you'll figure it out," I caved. Fine, whatever. New year, new me. I Googled Melanie's clinic. That's when I first saw the ad for Shed Society Boot Camp. New year, new start, new you. Guaranteed results, 0 excuses. A new year in 4 weeks. I clicked the link because the before and after photos featured women who looked like me. Tired, stressed, holding toddlers who were mid-tantrum. And the after photos, they all looked peaceful. Almost too peaceful. Like someone had ironed the stress right out of their souls. Plus, the clinic partnered with them. Shots plus boot camp equals fast results, and I needed fast. On January 3rd, I signed up. The first day of boot camp, the instructor took one look at us, a circle of moms with messy buns and haunted eyes, and I grinned like she'd just been fed. "Ladies," she said, "you are here because you're ready. This is the year everything changes." I wasn't sure if I was ready. I wasn't sure if I was even awake. But the rest of the group nodded with near religious conviction. The instructor's name was Ava, which of course it was. Ava had the kind of body you'd get only if you swapped your blood for green juice. Everything about her was sharp. Cheekbones, voice, stare. She circled us like she was checking livestock for defects. "You've all started the shots, yes?" she asked. Most women nodded. I raised my hand halfway. "I've only had 2 doses. Ava didn't blink. "We'll accelerate your dose schedule," which sounded like a threat. 3 days in, the weight started dropping. Not gradually, aggressively. My clothes hung like they were scared of touching me. I felt hollow. A bit too hollow. But every time I mentioned it, the other women smiled with the serene, Stepford but millennial look. "That's normal," said Karen from Carpool, whose collarbones could now slice bread. "It's just your old self melting away. Out with the old, in with the new. It's the New Year purge." Purge, melting away. I laughed because what else do you do? But Karen didn't. At night I found bruises blooming across my ribs, shaped weirdly like fingerprints, but I chalked it up to intense workouts. Still, something was going on, but I had no idea what these bruises were, like something was taking little pieces of me. By week 2, people started disappearing. Not all at once. Just one woman at a time. First was Jenna, 3 kids, always late, impossible not to like. Ava announced on Tuesday that Jenna had graduated early, but no one celebrated. Not really. No high fives, no congrats girl, just stiff smiles. When I texted Jenna, her messages didn't deliver. Her Instagram was wiped, and her husband posted a weird passive-aggressive meme that read, "Some people change for the better, some leave behind their dead weight. Hashtag New Year, New Life." I didn't like that phrasing, and I liked even less that I woke up the next day with a sharp burning line across my hip bone, like something had been rooting around under my skin. My husband noticed the changes, not the scary ones, the socially acceptable ones. "You look amazing," he said. "You look like yourself again." This is your year. But I didn't feel like myself. I felt like a house whose furniture had been quietly replaced with slightly wrong versions during the night. Food tasted like chalk. Sleep felt like a suggestion. And whenever I looked in the mirror, it felt like my reflection was learning me instead of mirroring me. I told my husband I wanted to quit. Just finish the month, he said. It's working, isn't it? Was it? Or was I just disappearing slower than Jenna? On day 15, I found it. A scar. Horizontal, thin, pale, running along the base of my spine. I hadn't noticed it before, and when I traced it with my fingertips, something under my skin twitched, like a worm startled awake. I vomited so hard I burst a blood vessel in my eye. That night, I dreamed of Ava, crouched beside my bed, her fingers pressing into my ribs like she was checking the ripeness of fruit. And behind her, the other women from class stood in the dark, silent, their faces strangely slack. I woke up to a new bruise, the shape of a hand, on my stomach. That was it. I was done. I skipped boot camp the next morning. I expected to feel guilty. Instead, I felt watched. At 11:14 a.m., I got a text from Ava. "You're late." When I replied saying I was taking a rest day, she texted back, "We don't rest, we shed." Then another text, "Everyone must complete their New Year transition." I blocked the number, the clinic, everything. Then I locked the doors. But the thing is, you don't get to just quit a cult you didn't realize you joined. By afternoon, the walls of the house felt like they were breathing. Shadows jittered like someone was standing just out of frame. And I swear something moved under my skin again. A ripple, a tremor. Like whatever was feeding wasn't done yet. I grabbed my kids from school early, threw some clothes into the trunk, buckled them in, and drove. Not anywhere specific, just away. When I hit the highway, my phone lit up again. New number, and the text read, "This is the year you finish what you started. You won't get far." I hurled the phone out the window. We drove for hours. By the time the kids fell asleep, the sky was black and the world was quiet. I pressed my hand to the scar on my back. It felt quiet. For the first time in weeks, nothing moved. Whatever was feeding, whatever Ava and her perfect little army were hosting, it hadn't followed. Maybe it couldn't. Maybe starving it was possible. I closed my eyes and breathed. In the morning, sunlight filtered through the windshield. The kids were still asleep and my body felt different. Not lighter, heavier. I reached under my shirt, no movement. But something hard sat beneath my skin now. Not a worm, a shell, a barrier. Whatever had been devouring me was gone. But whatever replaced it was mine now. That was a month ago. I haven't heard from Ava since, but sometimes when the house is quiet and the kids are asleep, and the new year still feels like it's stretching its long shadow over everything, I catch a flicker in the mirror. Not movement, just armor, growing, protecting, changing. This was supposed to be the year I finally got myself back. Instead, it was the year something else took root. A new start, a dark end. And every night, I remind myself, it's better to survive change than to be shed entirely. We all feel that pressure to start over, to fix ourselves, to become someone better this year. But if the cost of belonging is losing something you can't get back, would you still sign up? Or would you realize too late that the change already chose you? It's time for something from our listeners, and this week I wanted to share an email. Hey Blair, I'm genuinely obsessed with your podcast. It's my go-to for late nights when I want to feel unsettled for no reason. That's a compliment. Thank you. Since it's almost New Year's, I wanted to share a short thing that still freaks me out. Last year, on New Year's Eve, I took my dog for a walk through the park near my apartment. It was freezing, snow everywhere, super quiet, like the kind of quiet that makes you feel like maybe you just went deaf. My dog kept stopping and staring down the path, ears up, refusing to move. That's when I saw someone standing ahead of us. Dark coat right in the middle of the path, not moving at all. I tried to convince myself it was just another late-night dog walker, but my dog started pulling back hard, like she wanted to get out of there. When the person slowly turned their head toward us, I realized I couldn't see their eyes. They didn't have eyes, just empty black sockets. I blinked and they were gone completely. I dragged my dog home and never walked that park at night again. Anyway, love what you do. Keep ruining my sense of safety, LOL. Love, Kiki. Kiki, that was terrifying, and thank you so much for the kind words. I'm so glad you found us. Has anyone else had a terrifying encounter involving something supernatural? If so, tell us your story at SomethingScary@snarled.com. Some desires are better left unfulfilled, especially when what you chase is not entirely human, like in this account by Samuel. The rain poured in the busy city, the constant patter of droplets hitting everything and everyone unfortunate enough to be outside on this cold, gray January. Jonas sighed as he looked out the window, knowing very well he had to walk home. "Mr. Scott," a shrill voice called from behind. "Get back to work." Jonas muttered a tired, "Yes, Mrs. Carroll," and returned to his computer. Mrs. Carroll was small, plump, and seemed to hate everyone for no particular reason. She scolded over the smallest mistakes, a typo, the wrong coffee, a spilled pen, while her thin, red-rimmed glasses glinted under the office lights. Her little black chair squeaked when she shifted, and she sipped from her mug with icy precision. "God, I hate it here sometimes," Jane murmured. "Yeah," Jonas whispered, fatigue already creeping into his voice. Every day felt like the same. Hours passed under the scrutiny of Mrs. Carroll's blue eyes, the click of keyboards, the hum of fluorescent lights, the rain still pouring outside. Finally, at 8 p.m., the clock's hands seemed to release him. "Finally," he muttered, papers scattered across his desk like debris in a storm as he packed up. He joined the crowd of office workers filing into the darkened city streets. The downtown streets of Campbell were crowded with people hunched against the rain. Jonas walked, the cold air biting his face, past the glow of neon signs and streetlights that flickered through the sheets of rain. The local bar's warm light beckoned, and Jonas thought, my wife probably wouldn't mind if I'm a little late. Jonas pushed the door open, warmth hit him, along with low conversation and music muted under the rain. The bartender nodded, already knowing what Jonas would order. A glass of amber liquid slid across the bar, comforting, familiar. Jonas drank too quickly, signaling for another. By the second glass, the day felt farther away, like it belonged to someone else. His fingers twitched slightly with each sip, bending in ways he didn't control. He flexed them, shook them out. The sensation lingered, a slippery prickle under the skin. That's when he noticed her, a woman, 2 stools down. Dark hair pulled back with a small feather clip, hands folded in her lap, eyes forward, calm. Jonas shifted on his stool, cleared his throat. "Long day?" She tilted her head slightly. "Long year," she said. That landed harder than he expected. Jonas laughed a little too quickly. "You have no idea." He lifted his glass again, drained it, and set it down. Only then did he realize how dry his mouth had been. He hadn't noticed he was thirsty until the glass was gone. The bartender slid another drink down the bar and moved on. Jonas leaned closer. "Can I get you something?" She glanced at the glass sitting between them. "I'm fine," she said. Jonas nodded and took another sip. At some point, the glass between them was empty. He wasn't sure when that happened, or that it had ever been his to begin with. He looked outside. It had stopped raining. "You ever just want to step outside for a minute?" Jonas asked. "Get some air?" She studied him for a long beat, then she stood. Jonas paid without checking the total and followed her into the rain. The city's lights dimmed behind them as they walked. Streetlights ended. The puddles masked their footsteps. Jonas stumbled over a root and caught himself, but his fingers bent wrong, a sharp prickle under the skin. A cold rush ran through his arms. He yelped, but the sound felt muffled, as if his body weren't entirely his own. When he looked down at her, the hooves gleamed in the faint light. His own legs ached in ways that mimicked hers, muscles stiffening and stretching unnaturally. He stumbled again, nearly falling. The woman didn't speak, didn't move closer. He simply waited, and for the first time, Jonas realized the truth. He had come to her. He had made himself this easy to take. Her form shifted subtly. Fur brushed against her arms, face elongated, hands reshaping into hooves. The forest around him seemed to pulse with the rhythm of his own heartbeat, each snap of a twig underfoot matching a sudden, unnatural twist in his body. Jonas tried to step back, but his legs refused their usual coordination. Panic swelled, then sharpened into cold dread. She had not lured him, she had only waited. The next morning, a dog walker found him deep in the woods. The smell of decay filled the air. The golden retriever stopped and growled. Jonas's body lay twisted, fingers bent at impossible angles, head resting oddly, posture slightly impossible. No one else had been with him, no second set of footprints, nothing but remnants of someone who had walked into the forest alone and never walked out. Back at the bar, the bartender remembered Jonas. Office guy, regular, quiet, wedding ring, 2 drinks, maybe 3. But he didn't remember the woman, or pouring water. Jonas's tab listed a glass he never finished, and another he never touched. Some say she's dear woman, others say she's only part of the truth. The old stories say she punished cruelty, those who were terrible to women. The newer ones say she only appears to people who are already halfway gone, those who have no hope of redemption. Every January, a few people disappear. Not the happy ones, not the grateful ones, just the ones who pause too long before going home, already wondering what it would feel like to leave without being missed. Jonas walked into the night thinking he was in control, but some things only reveal themselves when you least expect it. Sometimes curiosity has a price. How far would you go before the consequences find you? If you want to help someone start the new year off right, share a podcast and get them listening every week. A good ghost story makes a great gift. And don't forget to subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening so you don't miss a single episode. Lots of spooky stuff coming to you this year. And you can send us your own spooky encounter or untold true crime stories at SomethingScary@Snarled.com. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube at Snarled so you never miss an episode creeping your way, particularly as we gear up for spooky season in 2026. Until next time, sweet screams. This week's podcast stories were edited by Sarah Lukasiewicz, narration by Blair Bathory, produced, edited, and mixed by Fitz Harris, executive produced by Gail Gilman, music by Sapphire Sindalo and Calvin Linderman.